Why has the rape accused Lingayat Seer, Dr. Shivamurthy Sharanaru, not been arrested, not even been questioned? That story coming up on the Newstrack tonight.
145 hours and counting. No detention, no arrest. Child rape accused, but still free. Why no action against Lingayat Seer? India demands Seer's arrest. Big focus on Newstrack.
Nearly 150 hours and counting. The Murugha Mutt Seer, accused of child rape, is still a free man. A lookout notice has now been issued against him. He's likely to be questioned, but there is no word on his arrest. Meanwhile, the Mutt hostel's chief warden, where the minor girls were staying, has been detained. Protests have been raging across Karnataka, demanding action be taken against this influential seer.
It's been days since he's been accused of raping 2 minors at a school run by his revered mutt in Karnataka. But despite the heinous charges and the invocation of the child rape law POCSO, Shivamurthy Murugha Sharanaru, the Lingayat Mutt Seer, still roams free. The charges against Seer Shivamurthy are non-bailable, remember. But despite mounting concerns and protests and non-stop coverage by India Today, the Chitradurga police continues to tiptoe around the godman. While the seer is yet to face the law and has moved for pre-arrest bail, the minor survivors are being repeatedly made to record their statements.
There is no delay in dealing with this bail petition, and delay is happening in investigation only.
Protests have erupted against the kid-glove treatment for the rape-accused seer.
Large number of people are on the streets protesting against district administration and police on not acting against alleged accused in the POCSO case, including Shivamurthy Sharanaru and his colleagues. You can see here various associations are protesting in front of district administration office.
ಇವತ್ತು ಪ್ರತಿಭಟನೆ ಮುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಿರೋ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಡಿಸಿ ಮೇಡಂ ಮುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಿರೋ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಸುಮಾರು ಪೋಕ್ಸೋ ಕಾಯ್ದೆಯಾಗಿ ಸುಮಾರು 5-6 ದಿನಗಳು ಕಳೆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಅವರನ್ನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Facing heat, the administration has promised action.
We are investigating the case and we are collecting the evidence. Based on evidence, we are going to inquire all the accused. As per CRPC and POCSO Act only, we are investigating the case.
They are safe. You need not worry about the security of the children. The Child Rights Commission has instructed to ship them. They have done that. To various hostels. Wherever space is available, we have shifted them.
Meanwhile, the chorus is growing in the Lingayat community and the BJP for the seer to come clean and face justice.
Law is common for everybody. It is common for rich and poor and seer and devotee. There should not be any difference between the rich and poor. Because here there are only 2 persons. One is a victim and one is an alleged rapist. And the case has been filed under the POCSO Act, which is supposed to take immediate action.
ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮುರುಘಾ ಶರಣರು ಕೂಡ ನಿರಾಕರಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಹಿಂದೆ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಪಿರಸಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸಂಶಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮುಚ್ಚಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ
The Child Rights Panel too has sought a report from the Karnataka police.
पुलिस ने अगर कहीं इनएक्शन किया है और उसके कारण किसी भी एक्यूज्ड को अनड्यू बेनिफिट्स मिलते हैं किसी भी लैप्सेस के, तो पुलिस अथॉरिटीज इसके लिए जिम्मेदार होंगे, उसके कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस उनको भुगतने होंगे. कमीशन इस बारे में एकदम साफ है कि पॉक्सो एक्ट में सीआरपीसी में जो प्रोसेसेस लिखी हुई हैं उसका उनको फॉलो करना ही होगा.
How long before Karnataka netas gather courage and let the law take its course? 6 days and counting. With Sagai Raj in Chitradurga, Karnataka, Bureau Report, India Today.
India Today is the only channel that has been campaigning relentlessly for action to be taken against the rape accused Lingayat Seer. India Today's reporters on the ground have been asking tough questions, but politicians for once seem to be at a complete loss for words. Neta after Neta cutting across the political spectrum has offered platitudes about law taking its own course. Some have even called the rape accused pontiff a great man who's now dealing with a conspiracy.
6 days since he was booked for child rape, Karnataka's Murugha Mutt Seer, Shivamurthy Murugha Sharanaru is still free. On Wednesday evening, the seer was seen walking around the mutt, going into the girls' hostel where the 2 survivors also stayed. All the girls have been moved out of the mutt hostel. But despite several visits from the police and a lookout notice against the seer, he's still not been arrested. Shivamurthy Murugha Sharanaru belongs to the influential Lingayat community, which is a crucial vote bank in Karnataka. Assembly elections are just months away. Is that why no action has been taken against the seer?
ದುರಂತ ಸತ್ಯಾಸತ್ಯತೆ ಹೊರಬರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಪೊಲೀಸರು ತಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಫ್ರೀ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ನಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಗಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಇವತ್ತು. ಆ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಗಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಾಗ ನಾನು ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು, ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸರಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಕಾನೂನಿಗೆ ತಲೆ ಬಾಗೋಣ. ಯಾರೇ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ದೊಡ್ಡವರಾದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಕಾನೂನು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದೇ. ಆ ಕಾನೂನನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಪಾಲನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ.
Politicians cutting across party lines in Karnataka have in fact come out in support of the seer. Some even term the rape charges against the pontiff a conspiracy.
ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಮಠದಲ್ಲಿರೋದೇ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಷಡ್ಯಂತ್ರ ಇದು. ತನಿಖೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಸತ್ಯಾಸತ್ಯತೆ ಹೊರಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲದರಿಂದ ಮುಕ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ಹೊರಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇಡೀ ನಾಡಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜನ ಗೌರವ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
I don't know the fact. According to me, I have seen that he is a very noble man who has done some great contribution to the state. Let me leave it to the. Let me not interfere with the whatever the police or the government is doing late, because I can't only reply to whatever you are telling. Let me examine it, then I'll come back to you.
The investigation is going on. Let investigation report come out. Arresting, non-arresting is not an issue. The investigation should be proper. I hope the Karnataka government and Karnataka police are doing the proper investigation.
After days of outrage, some political leaders are speaking out, demanding action against the seer.
Booked under POCSO, he must immediately arrested within 24 hours. But in this case, that has not been happened. People are asking, why? Is there any law for the shrine and the common man?
ಬಹಳ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಗೃಹ ಸಚಿವರಾಗಲಿ, ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಾಗಲಿ, ಡಿಜಿಪಿ ಆಗಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒತ್ತಡ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ನಿಷ್ಪಕ್ಷಪಾತವಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಕರಣ ದಾಖಲಾಗಿದೆ, ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ FIR ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ನಾವು ತನಿಖೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮುರುಘಾ ಶರಣರು ಕೂಡ ನಿರಾಕರಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಹಿಂದೆ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಪಿರಸಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸಂಶಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮುಚ್ಚಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಆ ಪೋಕ್ಸೋ ಕಾಯ್ದೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಕರಣ ದಾಖಲಾಗಿ ಸೂಕ್ತವಾದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತನಿಖೆ ನಡೆಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು.
Mutts like Murugha Rajendra wield huge clout in Chitradurga. With the Lingayats spread over Karnataka, the Mutts also command political influence, and several chief ministers of the state, including the current CM Basavaraj Bommai and former chief minister B.S. Yediyurappa, hail from the community. With Sagai Raj in Chitradurga, Bureau Report, India Today.
Lingayat Seer Shivamurthy Murugha Sharanaru, who's been booked under the POCSO Act, for sexually assaulting minors has blamed the former administrator of the Murugha Mutt and his wife for conspiring against him. India Today has with great difficulty tracked down S.K. Basavarajan, who was once a friend of the Mutt pontiff but has now become his arch foe.
We are joining with Basavarajan SK, who suspect to be a main conspirator according to Shivamurthy Sharanaru in this entire POCSO case. Thank you so much for talking to India Today, sir. Sir, congratulations, you got bail today. But how do you see these charges against you? These charges nimmele bandide idra ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ?
ಇದೆಲ್ಲದೂ ಸುಳ್ಳು. ನಾನು ಸ್ವಾಮಿಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ POCSO ಕಾಯ್ದೆ ಅಡಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ನನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಪಾಲಾಗಲಿ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಸುಳ್ಳು. ಇದು
ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ?
ಇದು ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಇದು ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ತಿಂಗಳಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕಿರೋದು ಕೇಸು. ಅವರು 27/7 ನಡೆದಿದೆ ಘಟನೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಲೈಂಗಿಕ ದೌರ್ಜನ್ಯ ನಡೆದಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ
ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು ಸರ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ POCSO
ಹಾಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಸ್ ಬಿದ್ದಿದೆ ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ, POCSO ಕೇಸು. ಯಾರ ಮೇಲೆ? ರಶ್ಮಿನ್ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಬಚಾವಾಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿದ್ದಿರೋ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ತಪ್ಪು ಕಲ್ಪನೆಯಿಂದ ಅವರು ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ಯು ಆರ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಪಿರೇಟರ್ ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್, POCSO ಕೇಸ್. ನೀವು ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಬ್ರೈನ್ ವಾಶ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೇಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು.
ಒಂದ್ ದಿವಸ 2 ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಿಜವಾದ ನೋವಿದ್ರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಿಜವಾಗಿಲೂ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಕಿರುಕುಳ ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಏನು ಇದು ಇವತ್ತು ಏನು POCSO ಕಾಯ್ದೆ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, 3-4 ಕಡೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸಗಳು ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ.
Now, why has this Lingayat Seer, Dr. Shivamurthy Murugha Sharanaru, not been acted against? Who is protecting him and why? Joining me on the Newstrack tonight, I want to welcome first Dr. Narendra Rangappa. He's a leader of the BJP in Karnataka. We've got G.B. Patil. He's a leader of the Jagatika Lingayat Mahasabha. We have Chetan Kumar, well-known Kannada actor. Brinda Adige is a women and child rights activist. And what does elections have to do with all of this? To talk about that, we have Dr. Sandeep Shastri, National Coordinator at Lokniti Network, Vice Chancellor of a local university. Remember also that Lingayats constitute 17% of Karnataka's population and are a substantial vote bank. And this year in particular, Dr. Sharanaru carries heft, religious heft, political heft. Is that why he is being protected? Let me go across to the BJP spokesperson first, Dr. Narendra Rangappa. Please kickstart this debate by explaining to every single person watching at this moment, why is it that this Lingayat Seer hasn't been acted against? He hasn't been questioned, he hasn't been arrested, despite the gravity of the charges that face him.
This crime was registered in Mysuru on 26/8 at 10:30 p.m. against the Seer and 3 other co-accused. So the FIR was lodged immediately. There was no delay of any sort in lodging the FIR. But the incident had occurred in Chitradurga, and the information had to be passed on to Chitradurga because the FIR needs to be sent to the police station where the allegedly incident has occurred. After that, there was a string of holidays because of festivity and all other things. There was a partial delay because of that. Later on, the victims had to dispose before the magistrate, and the statements have to be recorded under the section 161 and 164. After that, the magistrate had to look into the statement and analyze the statement, and he had to decide whether it warrants an arrest or not. So, the ball is in the court of the judiciary, which is not under the control of the Bharatiya Janata Party government in Karnataka. Neither have we interfered in any way. We will definitely protect the children and give them all the necessary facilities to see that they are not under pressure. At the same time, a person here who is accused is a person, whether he is a seer or anybody else, or doesn't matter before the law, and he is a accused and he'll stay an accused. We are not
But
worried
that's
whether
not
he is
entirely the case. If you see the kind of reactions we've seen from many of the BJP politicians, including the likes of a B.S. Yedurappa, who called this a fake case. We've seen, for example, K.S. Ishwarappa calling this a false case. Many of the senior leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party are out to dismiss the credentials of the victims, those who filed the case, by labeling this case fake. Now, you're claiming that you're not interfering, but you're also rushing politically to give this year a clean chit. How then can anyone be certain that you will let the police do its job, given that you control the state's governance and administrative and law and order machinery?
Definitely not, sir. We are not going to protect him in any way, because the Chief Minister has made a categorical statement that strict and suitable action needs to be taken, and nobody needs to be protected, and we have to give enough protection to the children who have accused the seer. So the senior leaders, they have made a statement in different context. That was before this recording of statement 164 and 161, which is beyond, which is in front of the magistrate himself. So the magistrate and the judiciary are not controlled by the state government. They are independent to function. If they feel it is necessary to arrest the seer, we will arrest him immediately.
Okay, Brinda Adige, do you buy this argument coming from the BJP spokesperson that this really is a matter that's now before the judiciary? They need to decide whether the seer is arrested or not, whether he's acted against or not. The BJP isn't interfering. Do you buy that at all?
Of course not. Under what law is he saying that the judiciary will take action? The process and the procedure is that the police have to register a statement. They have to register a statement from the alleged accused. After that, they have to arrest him, because POCSO is a special law. And in this special law, unlike the other IPCs, the perpetrator, the accused, is presumed to be guilty till he can prove himself. And that is not going to happen, is not happening just now, because he has not given any statement. So police cannot do any investigation. He has gone to court asking for anticipatory bail. On that regard, I think the panelist is saying that it's in the court, and the court will have to decide.
No, but that's only on the issue of anticipatory bail. You're basically hoping that the seer gets anticipatory bail so that your police doesn't need to act against him. Arrest, sir, is done by the police. The judiciary really gets involved only at the stage of determining the credentials of a charge sheet. Right now, the onus is entirely on the police and your government.
Exactly, sir. The police have done its part. They have registered the the FIR immediately. There is no delay in the creation of an FIR. They have taken the children to the CWC. Statements have been recorded there. Then they have taken the children to the magistrate. Section under Section 161 and 164 statements have been recorded. So the police have been doing its duty. I don't think there is any pressure or interference by the government to delay the procedure or delay the investigation. Definitely not. I don't agree with that argument.
Brinda wants to make a quick counter before I throw it open to other panelists. Brinda.
The narrative and the messaging is that this person is above board. You are giving character certificate and saying that there are false cases, there are conspiracies, but you're not allowing the law of the land to
where have you said it is? Where have you said that?
And I think that, sir, we must ask ourselves, would it be the same
I'm
case?
sorry. Where have you said that he is not an accused?
Well, Yedurappa has said it, Ishwarappa has said it. These are senior leaders of your party.
Who is Yedurappa? Which court does he sit in?
Madam, the FIR is very clear. He has been accused. What are you talking about?
So why is he not arrested? Only then
the investigation as the magistrate indicates.
Why does the magistrate have to decide arrest? The arrest is done by the local police. Your argument is specious.
No, we are not suspicious. We are definitely following the judiciary procedure, the judicial law.
Shriram Nayak, you're an advocate yourself. The BJP spokesperson saying the judiciary has to now determine whether he gets anticipatory bail, whether action should be taken or not, and in the absence of that, there's nothing we can do at this moment.
Right now, the present petition was filed to monitor the ongoing proceedings with respect to so-and-so crime number. Because we felt that the police were not investigating properly and the judiciary has to look into and monitor the investigation. That is all we had sought for.
Okay. Chetan Kumar, you're hearing the BJP spokesperson say, we're not interfering with the probe. These netas giving character certificates doesn't undermine what the police is doing, and really we're waiting for the judiciary to determine whether or not the seer should be given anticipatory bail. Do you think that in the manner in which the police are approaching this case, they're seriously undermining the faith that these victims will have and everyone watching this case will have in the efficacy of our judicial process?
If you want to understand the way this case is being handled by the police and the investigation and the total Karnataka society as a whole, you have to understand mutt culture in Karnataka. Mutt culture has existed for 1,000 years and it's been involved socio-culturally, educationally, religiously influenced. But the three political parties to various levels have gotten mutt culture involved heavily politically over the past 15 years. And this is something that is influencing the investigation through indirect ways. We have a question, in a secular society, how much should these religious institutions be involved in government? How much should they be given money? See, you talk about Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa actually, even before the investigation, saying it's a false implication, giving a kind of call that this is something that is a clean sheet in some way before the investigation even happened. And you see Mr. Yediyurappa from 2008 to 2013 giving a lot of money to the mutts, and the mutts being very loyal 1 year back, supporting him in various many ways. And he's also scratching their back. Now you also see Mr. Kumaraswamy, who interestingly in 2019 gave over 115 crores to mutts and 42 different mutts. This is taxpayer money. Now he says, I have known about this case 6 months back. If you have known about it, why aren't you doing anything about it? Why are you shuffling your feet? Of course, Bommai, the chief minister, is also not taking a strong stance. And Mr. Siddaramaiah, who actually went to the mutts earlier this month for his 75th birthday anniversary to the Murugha Mutt, has not made a single statement, even though he seems to be talking on every issue under the sun. So these are the political parties that are divided by maybe their flags and divided by votes, but united by mutt culture. So everybody has a vested interest to not get involved, to tiptoe, and to somehow give this person a pass, even though he might not be deserving of it, according to what the investigation said.
You make a very important point. Now, I want to put that question to GB Patil. You're a Lingayat leader yourself. You head a crucial Lingayat Mahasabha. This suggestion that because this seer comes from an influential political community, and there's a big election round the corner, therefore all netas are bending over backwards, giving character certificates, ignoring the seriousness of the charges that the seer faces.
I just fail to understand the question itself, because the accused is also Lingayat, the victim is also Lingayat.
Correct.
How can we make the difference between two Lingayats? Because here the main question is accused and the rapist and the victim. So we have to take up that. Whether he is influential or not influential, that doesn't serve the purpose here. The law of the land should take its course. Immediately what he is supposed to do, the state government has to do it. Whether they are all politicians, they are banking on the votes. Is it a politician versus people's movement? Is it something like that? All politicians are one side. They wanted to protect the seer, and the normal people are on the road. They wanted to punish the guilty. So what kind of democracy we are in? Actually, it should have been he should have been stepped down for himself, because he is the most respected seer in Karnataka. Because it is one girl is going to his room saying Appa. Appa means father. Can a father do this injustice to the girl? Can you ask a question to Mr. Yediyurappa or any leaders of the Karnataka political leaders? Is he not your beti? Is he not your grandchild? What is happening? Why we are making a difference between rich and poor? All along we have to fight haves and have-nots in this country. If he is a have, then have-nots are not having any voice in this country. Law should be equal
but try and
to
explain
everybody.
some of this Murugha Mutt rivalry to our viewers. There is an ex-Janata Dal secular MLA, S.K. Basavarajan, who is a childhood friend of this Seer. He was initially in line to head up this mutt, but he fell in love with a girl called Shaubhagya. He left the mutt because he was no longer an ascetic. He joined politics, returned to the mutt earlier this year. He's had a falling out with this Seer. And therefore, it is being suggested that all these minor girls who are now speaking out are actually being incited, that both these Seers, Shivamurthy Murugha, the Mutt Seer, grew up with Basavarajan, and therefore now because they are clashing, which is why this matter is now playing itself out in the public domain. G.B. Patil?
Yeah. First of all, I'm failed to understand that why this third person is coming into this. Here is a POCSO case. There should be alleged victim and alleged rapist. That should take. It's between the head of the BERT and the head of the administrative wing. They are supposed to do their job. It is nothing to do with this case. And this case is a totally different case. And that case is also a different case. Why you have to tagging that case to this case? To cover the misdeeds? One will feel that. One right-thinking person will feel that they wanted to cover these misdeeds. They are just diverting the attention of Mutt's internal politics. So here case is different. We have to talk only about the victim and the accused. That's all.
You make a very important point. And I want to go across to Sandeep Shastri, who looks at the state's politics very closely. How much of this is linked with elections next year in Karnataka, with the fact that the Lingayat community is about 17% of the state's population, very crucial in many seats. 38 seats were won by the BJP in Lingayat-dominated constituencies. 10 of the state's chief ministers so far have been Lingayats, and therefore raising questions about whether he's being protected because nobody wants to get on his wrong side.
Rahul, the fact that we are having elections in Karnataka next year, I think clearly is defining and deciding the stand. I think it's very clear. If you look at the BJP, those who represent the government in the BJP are taking the stand. Law will take its own course. Those who are in the BJP but outside the government are singing pains for the peace, for the Seer, and saying what a wonderful person he is. So that clearly indicates that the party is keen on ensuring that the Lingayat vote is with them, and the people in power are taking the position that the law will take its own course. The fact that you do not have a strong voice in the Congress opposing the lack of action, the fact that you don't have a strong voice within the Janata Dal saying that quick action should be taken, is a clear manifestation of how important all the political parties think that the Lingayat vote is. And as a previous panelist said, the role of the Seers, the role of the Mathas in influencing their followers and also in involving in politics is something that has been seen for many years now.
No, given all the Mutts and their relative significance, not all of them are of equal political significance, where does the Jagadguru Muruga Rajendra Vidyapat Mutt actually stand relative to the other significant Lingayat Mutts?
Rahul, this is a important mutt. It is a very influential mutt. It is a mutt which is seen to have a lot of influence over people belonging to that community. And Rahul, I think this incident indicates one point very strongly. Institutionalized religion in India is like fire. Wonderful from far away. The closer you get, the heat is more, and the closest you get, it could burn you. I think you need no better example than this one to show how what looks from far away may be very different from when you are very close to and part of the internal politics. And this I'm not just saying in this particular case, this is becoming increasingly visible with regard to institutionalized religion. And given the fact that you have an election next year, and given the fact that the Lingayat vote is something that all political parties are very keen on, and especially the mainstay of the BJP's support, I think it becomes crucial for the ruling party in its strategy to make sure that those who are outside the government sing pains about the seer,
but it's not
and those
just
within
the
the government
BJP, Chetan
maintain
Kumar,
the
the problem
stand that
here
the law will
seems
take
to be
its own course.
that even the likes of DK Shivkumar from the Congress have actually come out and supported this seer. So it's not as if the government is protecting this rape accused seer and the opposition is doing its job and asking for his arrest and for action to be taken. All netas, on account of their political compulsion, seem to be in cahoots.
The political system is protecting the JCB, JDS, Congress, BJP, are tiptoeing, shuffling their feet, and somehow avoiding a strong stance on this issue, or in some way backing the mutt. But what is interesting is this is a mutt that is that can be said to be maybe even the third biggest mutt in Karnataka after Siddhganga Suttur, and maybe this might be the third biggest, and it's a 400, 500-year-old mutt. And when you talk about people's perception, I know the seer has said, I will abide by the law, I will not run away. But if the seer is really, the people's perception, if he really wants to project his innocence to the people, then he must take a moral stand where he says, I will step down, and I will step down until I'm given innocence. Because there are multiple issues here. There are obviously the issues of wrongdoing, which the investigation will look into, but there's also a way of handling this issue. And for a seer who is somebody that we expect to be beyond these worldly things, we expect him to take a very moral stand, because this is not just an ethical issue, this is not just a religious issue or a moral issue, this is a criminality issue. So if the seer is really in the wrong, he shouldn't be applying for anticipatory bail and projecting a kind of fear. He should be taking a stand and saying, I am innocent, I will prove to you that I'm innocent.
Now, and that's the point. Given the fact that he's a seer of the kind of stature that he enjoys, is it then not imperative, GB Patil, according to you, for Dr. Shivamurthy to step down and say, these charges are wrong, I will prove it?
No, because Lingayat religion is totally different from Hindu religion. Here, the Lingayat religion is a truth-seeking religion. That is why the Basveshwara has left this Hindu religion and started his own. So here, the case is that the same seer has given the mutt status to the all downtrodden people in Karnataka. Why is forgetting that? Do you think that the Dalits are not Lingayats? We are fighting for 102 castes, not one. Everybody is Lingayat here. Dalits are Lingayat, Mahadevas are Lingayat, and most of the downtrodden castes are Lingayats. They are in Lingayat Dharma. Why we are making a differentiate between the Jangamas and all these things? First of all, Jangama is a different. It's not a this thing caste. It is supposed to be like a gushing water. He is supposed to go all over the world and preach the religion.
No, but what's most perplexing, Brinda Adiga, is the fact that Dr. Shivamurthy hasn't even been called in for questioning yet. Far from arresting him and acting against him and saying if he's raped these minors, we'll take exemplary action against him because someone who is in a godlike position really ought not to be doing this. He's not even been questioned.
You're absolutely right. He has not been questioned. He has not been asked for a statement. The police have gone all out to give him protection. He has also been allowed to address gatherings and make statements of his innocence. He continues to be in that mutt. Procedurally, the Department of Women and Child, the Karnataka State Legal Service Authority and the Child Welfare Committee should have gone into that mutt and ensured that all the other children are safe, or to find out if any other child has gone through similar experience. And the alleged accused should not be allowed even to go into that mutt. But what have they done here? He has gone all inside and he is in the safe confines of that mutt. All the children probably are outside and unsafe and not yet protected. But look at the way the police and the state machinery has been treating this alleged accused. Everything for his benefit. building a narrative, giving a message where he's safe, where he's protected, where his character certificate is given, but nothing to follow the rule of law. Not a single procedure has been followed where the alleged accused is concerned with regard to the POCSO case or with regard to the prevention of atrocities on SC/STs. Both those laws which are registered as FIR in the FIR have been violated.
Both the provisions of the law demand, Dr. Rangappa, that the accused be acted against, that in fact under POCSO you are presumed to be guilty till the time that you can prove your innocence. None of those parameters of law seem to be applied over here. You are saying that you are not going soft or not going easy. Actions on the ground seem to be suggesting something completely different.
Is the perception of the opposition, sir, but the matter of fact is the whole Murugha Mutt is under surveillance of police. You can see so many police posted out there. It is not to protect the seer, but to give protection to the incumbents of the mutt, so that the seer will not scare anybody, or people from outside will not be asked to come and scare the witnesses, or they can come and manipulate the witness. Definitely not. But you should see the overall perception in this case that the accused is a seer and he is an accused, whether he is an influential mutt seer because Rahul Gandhi visited him recently, Siddaramaiah visited him, our party president visited him, everybody keeps visiting him. That doesn't mean that he is above law, definitely not. But tomorrow if we arrest him and the opposition, then they'll come to our jugulars if there is a small window where the seer is not held culpable. So we want to take a comprehensive step depending upon the orders of the magistrate, because this is a sensitive matter. And if we are
waiting for the orders of the magistrate, Brinda Adige, because it's a sensitive matter. That's why they're waiting for the orders of the magistrate. Do you buy that?
No, it's a shameful matter. How can you say it's a sensitive matter? That is the narrative that all of you are creating, saying that it is sensitive, law and order is at stake, and that is why we cannot arrest this person. When actually what you're doing is trying to buy time. And then you're saying that the court is now going to give him anticipatory bail, and then the police have no role in it after that. So this will drag on.
We didn't say that he's going to get a bail. We never said
you have
he's going to get a bail.
it. You have applied
for the bail. And the magistrate will decide. If the magistrate decides that he is not getting bail tomorrow morning, we'll arrest him immediately.
Ethically, sir, he should have gone forward and said, because all my party members, all the, not his party members, sorry, all the politicians think that this is a sensitive matter, I will now come on my own. I will uphold the moral ground. Ethically, I will come and I will...
If he is found guilty, we will not spare him.
No, how will he be found guilty? You haven't even questioned him. Dr. Rangappa, you haven't even questioned him. How will he be found guilty? Sir, he won't be found guilty if he is sitting in his ashram. You have to go and question him. You have to present him with the facts. Your police hasn't done that so far.
The magistrate will decide.
The magistrate, is this how normal cases function? Magistrate decides whether the police will arrest or not. Is this how cases function ordinarily in Karnataka? On the mere application of a charge, bulldozers are sent and houses are brought down. Here you haven't even questioned the main accused.
Sir, let me remind again that this is a matter of sub judice now. When the magistrate tomorrow morning says he is not eligible for bail, we'll arrest him immediately without a minute's gap also.
They're basically waiting, Sandeep Shastri, for the judiciary to give the go-ahead, as it were, that if we go in on our own, then it could lead to some kind of political law and order problem because of the influence of this ashram. Therefore, let's hear from the judiciary first.
Rahul, as Brindaji said, there is no need of a judge to give permission to the police to interview him, interrogate him. I think that's 100% clear. What is increasingly happening is the power structure is taking refuge in the fact that let the judiciary handle it. And this is not the first time it's happening. It's not the first time it's happening in Karnataka. This is not the first time it is happening in many states. You push the ball into the judiciary's court because you don't want to be seen as the one who took the action, and then you can say whether you took the action or not is because the judiciary asked you to do it. And in this particular case, as Brindaji very transparently said, the application for anticipatory bail is a separate issue. The fact that when a complaint is launched, when it's a POCSO case, when it is also a case involving scheduled caste because one of the girls is a Dalit, I think the action of the police should have been immediate. And I think the argument that we are waiting for the judiciary's response is, I think, a very, very weak
Chetan Kumar, they're waiting for the judge to give them the go-ahead
which to hide.
On the basis of the assumption that there could be a problem if they go and arrest. At least they can say, Judge ne bola, now what can we do?
The concept of influence, we've also been talking about influence after the FIR. We have to understand how much influence this Mutt Seer wields even before the FIR was even filed. In actuality, for 6 months, what Mr. Kumaraswamy says, this issue has been kind of festering or somewhere underneath. These girls have been away from the Mutt for over a month. They have traveled all the way from Chitradurga to Bengaluru, and in Bengaluru, the police, because this was a very prominent person, tried to build a compromise. And then they went to Mysuru and finally got somebody who filed an FIR. And even after that, the Mutt Seer says, let me offer a compromise. So the funny thing about this is there's a lot of threat to the girls, and there's a lot of threat from even the people who want to curry favors with the Mutt. So we ask that the protection not just be given to the Mutt Seer, because the police seem to be giving protection to the Mutt Seer. We want the girls to be protected. We want the NGO that is protecting them, supporting them to be protected, and this should be government mandated at the earliest.
You couldn't have put it better. You've spoken from the heart, you've spoken passionately. No one is above the law, no matter how influential that person may be, whether he's a politician or a so-called godman. There are serious charges. Those charges need to be investigated. I'm not suggesting for a moment that Dr. Shivamurthy is indeed guilty of rape. We don't know, but unless the police go and question him, unless action is taken, and unless the wheels of justice are put into motion, you will never know. What we know right now is politicians, senior politicians from the BJP, the Congress and the Janata Dal Secular have been telling us why this Seer is a great man and why this charge is fake. Without questioning, without interrogation, without action, that just sounds like a complete cop-out. And I hope that the police do their job as they have committed that they will. For the time being, GB Patil, Sriram Nayak, Brinda Adige, Dr. Sandeep Shastri, Chetan Kumar and Narendra Rangappa for joining me on the Newstrack. Thank you, Dr. Rangappa, particularly to you and to your party. The ball is in your court. The people of India are watching, and they're watching very closely. You're on board the Newstrack. Another case of horrific assault by a stalker, this time in the national capital. A class 11 student was shot while she was returning from school just because she'd rejected the advances of a man. The accused was harassing and stalking the teenager on Instagram. She's now battling for her life.
जैसे उसके लिए अभी हम मर रहे हैं, उसको भी वही सजा हो जाए। आप ऐसा चाहती हैं?
Another day, another predator targeting India's Beti. Shocking CCTV images from capital Delhi, where stalker Amanat Ali opened fire at teenager Naina Mishra, a student of class 11. Ali was harassing Naina for months by stalking her on Instagram. Naina was shot by Amanat and two of his associates while returning from school. Naina's fault, she had blocked the stalker Amanat Ali on Instagram as she was fed up with his lewd advances. She still has the bullet lodged in her shoulder.
जब से हमारे साथ ये हादसा हुआ, अब पुलिस दिखती है हमें, और ये कितने दिन दिखती है ये भी देखने की चीज़ है। ठीक है सर। और दूसरी बात ये है कि बच्ची सुरक्षित कैसे है? अपनी माँ के साथ नहीं है, अपने पिताजी के साथ नहीं है, तो किसके साथ सुरक्षित है ये बता दीजिए।
Delhi cops arrested the stalker Amanat Ali along with 2 others who had helped him target Naina.
हमने 2 लोग हायर करे थे। 2 लोगों को पहले सिर्फ लड़की को मारने के लिए किए थे। क्या हुआ था ऐसा?
ये सब झूठ है।
क्या झूठ है? बताओ ना फिर क्या है, असल क्या है? असल क्या है? बताओ क्या हुआ, असल क्या है? बताओ।
हमारे स्पेशल स्टाफ की टीम को सीक्रेट इंफॉर्मेशन मिली कि मेन अक्यूज जो अमानत अली है वो त्रिलोकपुरी में आएगा किसी से मिलने के लिए। हमने अपने टीम को वहां स्टेशन कर दिया एंड अमानत अली को कल रात को हमने उठाया। आज हमने अरेस्ट कर लिया है। ही हैज एडमिटेड टू द क्राइम।
Arvind Kejriwal blamed the Delhi LG and the center for the crime, but erroneously called Naina as deceased.
एक बच्ची को गोली मार के 3 लड़कों ने उसकी हत्या कर दी। इसकी हम कठोर निंदा करते हैं। उसमें से 2 लड़के बता रहे हैं पकड़े गए हैं, एक अभी भी फरार है, वो भी पकड़ा गया है। इस किस्म की इंसिडेंट्स किसी भी सभ्य सोसाइटी में शोभा नहीं देते, उसकी हम कड़ी निंदा करते हैं।
The crime is a chilling rerun of 2020 murder of Faridabad girl Nikita Tomar on the outskirts of Delhi. Nikita was killed by stalker Tausif and his friend Rehman right outside her college. She was killed for refusing to marry him and convert to Islam. The crime that was caught on camera had numbed India. The capital horror comes days after another stalker, Shahrukh, burnt alive Jharkhand girl Ankita, who had spurned his advances. The stalker killer had outraged India by brazenly smiling in police custody. Ankita, in her dying declaration, had sought death penalty for Shahrukh.
हम घर में अपने पापा को 10 बजे रात को आए, पापा को बोले, पापा ने ठीक है सुबह होगा तो देखते हैं। और उसने 4 बजे आके खिड़की से पेट्रोल फेंक के और आग जला के भाग गया।
तो पेट्रोल कहाँ पर फेंका गया?
पेट्रोल एक डिब्बा में 2 लड़का था, वो और एक छोटुआ था। हम खिड़की खोल के देखे।
How many more Nainas, Ankitas and Nikitas to go before India sternly deals with those preying on its daughters?
जैसे उसके लिए अभी हम मर रहे हैं, उसको वही सजा हो जाए।
आप ऐसा चाहती?
हाँ।
With Himanshu Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where I wrap up the Newstrack tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.